Well, we're going to go now to our GB News royal correspondent, Cameron Walker, who's outside Buckingham Palace, because, of course, the King has a key role today. Cameron, take us through what's going to happen at the Palace this morning.
Yeah, he absolutely does have a key role to play, Andrew. Appointing a Prime Minister is one of the last remaining prerogative powers of the King. Only he can do it. Now, he stayed at Windsor last night. He's not currently in residence at Buckingham Palace, but we are expecting him very shortly to arrive here. Of course, his timing was cut short because of a Hollywood week, but he's going to be back in London. Rishi Sunak, of course, has lost his majority. He can no longer command the confidence of the House of Commons, so he will be coming to Buckingham Palace later this morning to tender his resignation to the King. The King is expected clearly to accept that resignation. When he does so, Rishi Sunak is expected to exit the palace via a back exit, perhaps to preserve his dignity. But we know, of course, the King needs a Prime Minister, and Sir Keir Starmer has won a huge majority for the Labour Party. He will then be summoned to Buckingham Palace. He will enter the forecourt behind me, where he will be greeted, we believe, by the King's Principal Private Secretary, Sir Clive Alderton, and an equerry, where he will be taken inside the palace to meet the King in a private audience. During that audience, the King will invite Sir Keir Starmer to form a government in his name, and thus becoming Prime Minister, the third Prime Minister of King Charles's reign, but the first following a general election. Now, Sir Keir Starmer and the King know each other relatively well. They've been spotted mingling at a number of receptions. The King's Private Secretary actually sat next to Sir Keir Starmer a couple of weeks ago for a state banquet. But of course, he'll be mindful, I think, the King. He is mindful of the cost of living. Keir Starmer has spoken in the past of praised the King in the past for his kind of environmental credentials as well. So perhaps they're going to have a lot to talk about during those weekly meetings, which of course the King is going to have with Sir Keir Starmer every Wednesday following Prime Minister's questions.
OK, thank you, Cameron. Thank you, Cameron.